Kicking off the summer movie season with a legacy sequel almost 2 decades in the making is a choice. But The Devil Wears Prada 2 is officially clocking in to give us the cutthroat editorial drama and top tier reads we've been starving for, okay?
And y'all know me, I have so many questions. This week, I'm wondering, what is Andy's fitness routine to be able to still fit into these sample sizes on a journalism schedule?
Please.
Who the hell did she give those Chanel boots to from the first movie? And are there really not many black people in fashion? Is it really just Law Roach? It's movie day. I'm Ray Love Jr.
And I'm Tre'vell Anderson.
And we are Seated, the blackest show about movies. After 2 decades, the icons are spinning the block. Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci are all back to clock in for The Devil Wears Prada 2, and we are absolutely seated. Andy thought she escaped the trenches of glossy fashion journalism, but plot twist, sis got laid off from her serious prestige gig and fumbled her way right back to the final boss of toxic management, Miranda Priestley. Now, she's running the features department at Runway, putting her right back in the mix with Miranda, Nigel, and our favorite hater, Emily.
Where would you like to start?
I am the new features editor at Runway.
No, you are not.
Yeah, we are all so thrilled.
You know what's funny is you've changed. You have. You're much more confident. Kept those eyebrows, though, didn't you?
With OG director David Frankel and writer Aline Brosh McKenna at the helm, The Devil Wears Prada 2 is in theaters now.
Yes. Welcome to Seated. If you are new here, grab a plate, take a seat. We don't bite. And if you've been here before, you know the deal. That means you like what we do here. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friend about the show.
Yes, please do. And also, don't forget, we have an email address. So email us at holla@seatedshow.com. We want to hear what y'all are watching, how these movies are landing on you, and what more you're looking for from Seated. And while you're there, join the Seated Movie Club at seatedshow.com/join. So, Tre'vell, life been lifing, and when the summer hits, we don't really have as much time as we would like to do those things that we usually do. And so, surprisingly for me, I ain't got no fresh shot.
This is your way of telling people that you've only seen one movie this week, and it's the movie that we're talking about, okay?
Yeah.
That's your way of saying it, okay.
I'll say I've actually seen this movie twice now,
Ooh.
So I could have seen another movie, but because I really love digging into the conversation, I saw this a second time instead of seeing something else. Yes, of course.
Interesting. Well, squeeze me. Okay, so we're going to just dive straight into our Devil Wears Prada 2 review. We're going to start with a spoiler-free discussion up until the first break, and then we'll take our break and come back and dig in, because, you and I have some extrapolated thoughts about this one here.
We definitely got more meat on the bones than I thought these fashion girls were going to give us.
Fendi, we need that. The Brunello Cucinelli pants, love those. And we definitely need an embroidered two-piece totem set, but not the terracotta because you're so pale.
Tre'vell, tell me your top line thoughts on the movie. Like, how did this land on you? What did you go in expecting? Was it given what you thought it was going to give? What was it?
So I was looking forward to this movie. I'm not one of the people who super enjoyed the first movie, but I liked it, and it was in so many ways part of that idea in my head of what fashion and culture and entertainment journalism could look like to a little bit extent. And so I was looking forward to this film, the fashions, the ways that they would elevate and evolve the story. And I was pleased. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it does that thing of what we're seeing so much of right now, which is nostalgia, being exploited for, various kinds of financial gain and capitalistic interest, etc. Exclusively, almost, it feels. what I liked about Devil Wears Prada too is that the nostalgia is circumstantial. It's not the story. Mm-hmm. There's actually a narrative here, right? Which allows me, as somebody who's kind of familiar with the original, but I haven't really watched the original in the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Dive into this extended world, right? That we kind of got familiar with 20 years ago, but so much has changed, and these characters have changed and not changed. And so I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. What about you?
Yeah, I went in on pins and needles because
Why?
I think in our summer movie preview episode, I talked about just my, I guess, curiosity of how they were going to make this film and this industry not feel dated. And also, it's a sequel. And these legacy sequels, so many of them haven't really panned out. Like, we saw, what was the Gladiator 2 movie? Was it last year or the year before? It was just like, wow, that was one that took years to make, but it was just it was a letdown. Love seeing Denzel Washington in it, but also it was like, this is what y'all came up with after all this time. And so I was like, Lord,
Oscar nominated. Okay, what are you talking about?
There are many things that are Oscar nominated and Oscar winning even.
Fair point.
Anyway.
Fair point.
But anyway,
I'll let you have it.
I was just, with this being one of my favorite movies, like I would say, as I was coming into my movie loving era, this is definitely one of the movies that at the time it came out, I would have called a 5-star movie. So like, it was one of the movies that kind of like set my taste.
Okay.
And I was just really nervous about how they were going to handle these characters and like something that was so close to me, like something I knew. Like, it's like one thing to do a sequel about a movie that you may have seen and just like been whatever, but a movie that you actually know and like recite the lines to. I was like, how are y'all going to recapture this magic? But I was really, by the time we settled into what the full plot of the movie was, I was like, oh, I can get with this. And it made me interested in kind of like seeing what the updated version was. And so I was pleasantly pleased with this film for sure.
Okay. So do you think that it earned its place as like a film in theaters?
Definitely. I cannot imagine this being a movie that would have even been considered to go to streaming because, I mean, it's just one of the things that, because it has such a big cast, like, I mean, the cast they're icons, like Academy Award winning top tier, like across the board. And something like this, I think, requires that theatrical treatment. And especially coming off of something that came out 20 years ago. Speaking of 20 years ago, Tre'vell, let's talk about where you were in the year 2006. What was happening for you around then?
Girl, why do we want to do that?
Just to understand how you were kind of indoctrinated into the world of The Devil Wears Prada and Miranda Priestley's antics.
I was a child. I was a wee child, a wee babe. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. You said it was 20 years ago. So I am. So I would have been shimmer. Okay. And so I would have been probably living in Montgomery, Alabama at this time, I think.
Okay.
And what's interesting to me is obviously these people, Meryl Streep, Stanley Tucci, what's the white lady name? Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway.
That one. And the other girl with the red hair.
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Obviously those people are who they are now, but I also feel like they were who they are then, but not to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when that movie came out, I don't know. It was an unsuspecting movie. It wasn't a movie that I thought I would like. Why? Because there ain't no black people in it. And then I know there's one. Okay, I know there's one. And shout out to the legend. Okay.
Yes.
Shout out to the legend. But it was one of those movies that I did not think that would connect. But as many kind of cult classics do over the years, right? You start to be like, yeah, Cerulean Blue or whatever that thing. You know the Cerulean scene and what's the one for the florals for spring? What is it? Groundbreak. All of the lines that have since become cultural iconography, right? But it wasn't for me, it wasn't that immediately. You know what I mean? And so like I'm not even sure I saw this in the theaters when it came out. You know what I mean? I don't recall.
Well, I think I know what you probably did see that came out that same year in theaters, which makes sense for your positioning. You were in Montgomery, Alabama, as you say.
Don't you read me.
Did you go to the theaters to see Medea's Family Reunion? That came out in 2006. So was it a read or was it a read?
First of all, you black Well, yes, I did see that in the theater.
Yeah, 2006 was one of those years. Like a lot happened in 2006. This was the year that closed with Dreamgirls. This was, I believe, it was the year after what happened with Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. The Pursuit of Happiness came out that year. I was also celebrating my girl's 25th birthday with her when she released her album B-Day. Beyonce released that album that year. So it was. I just want to remind people of where we were in 2006. It was a snap. It was a snap
where some
era.
of us were.
We were jamming to Laffy Taffy and Lean With It, Rock With It.
Shake that Laffy Taffy. Laffy Taffy. Oh, shake that Laffy
We were getting the first and second season of Flavor of Love with Tiffany New York Pollard.
It looks better on me anyway.
Well, let Slade be the judge of that.
Look at the material.
You should be going home
You
anyway.
can be the judge of it.
The beginning of reality television as we know it. We don't give Flavor Flav, New York Pollard, Delicious, even Bucky. Okay? Or Buck Wild. Buck Wild is the one I wanted, not Buck. Bucky too, but Buck Wild. We don't give them enough credit for that era of Safari, bitch. Okay, I'm done. Keep going.
But yeah, 06 was one of those years. Like culturally, a lot of things happened. Do you remember The Game?
Yes, I remember The Game with Derwin and Melanie and Tasha Mack.
It premiered that year on the CW as a spinoff of
with
Girlfriends.
The legend, the icon, Wendy Raquel Robinson, who we don't talk enough about. Okay, I'm not gonna get on my sandbox to talk about Wendy Raquel Robinson. I have been known to do it on the mic before, but we don't talk about her enough. Anyway, okay, okay. Are we ready to go take our first break so we can come back and get into some of your preguntas around the film?
Yeah, because I have a lot of thoughts on The Devil Wears Prada 2, and I really want to dive into that.
Okay,
so yeah, let's take a break and come back, and we're gonna really get into The Devil Wears Prada 2 and return to the world of Cerulean and florals for spring.
And so if you don't want spoilers, skip the next section. We got the little time codes in the doohickey, and you can come back for Black Cinema Games, okay? See you shortly.
I'm feeling fab, I'm feeling free, I feel exceptionally.
You are here to help us through our current scandal.
Click, 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 everywhere.
But I did not hire you, and all I need to do is bide my time until you fail. Won't you take the train, dear?
Might show up late, might be on time. Just wait, I'm coming.
All right, Tre'vell, we're here to get into our spoilers and deep thoughts on The Devil Wears Prada 2. But of course, before we get deep into this conversation, let's give the director some. And I'll share with the people what I know about this director since this is one of my faves. So, The Devil Wears Prada 2 marks a major homecoming for David Frankel. Are you familiar with his work?
I'm over here doing a little search. I assumed he directed the first one. You know, that's an assumption. Just because of how similar the two movies are in a way. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what. Oh, he did Collateral Beauty with Will Smith.
Yeah. So what I love about this film is that we got the return of both the director and the writers. So like they know these characters in a very intimate way. And so he's the man who originally defined the glamour meets grit aesthetic of the 2000s. And returning for this sequel, he's not just like revisiting a hit, but he's, I think, reclaiming the world that he built. And I think it's rare to see a director come back after 2 decades, 20 years, to steer the same ship with the entire original cast. Like, I think that's an achievement. And he also did the late 2000s movie Marley and Me. Did you watch that, the movie with the dog?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, he specializes in what I would call like the cinema of high stakes humanity. Like he takes the worlds that seem superficial or niche, like high fashion or owning a pet in the suburbs, and finding like that profound like emotional core. And he has like the gift of making us care about the people behind kind of like the ideas that we have of them. So yeah.
Yeah, I barely remember Collateral Beauty, if I'm being honest. I definitely don't think I saw Marley and Me because, you know, I was done with the dogs in the movies after Air Bud.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But
he also directed some episodes of Sex and the City, the TV show, and he directed the pilot of Entourage, and that won him an Emmy. So, you know, he'd be working.
Yeah, sure. Shout out to him.
Let's talk about the vibe going into the movie for you. What was it like in the theater? Like, where did you see it? Was it a press screening or a regular screening? Tell me about it.
I went to a regular screen. I have nothing special to share from my viewing experience, if I'm being honest. I went to a regular old theater on Friday. It was full. Yeah, and it was great, and we all enjoyed it. You know, it was a nice movie. I'm not sure. I mean, certainly some people probably didn't enjoy it, but you didn't feel it. You know, by the end, I think everybody was like, "Huh, that was a lovely worth of my time." But nothing. It wasn't one of those movies where the communal experience particularly added to what was happening. Not in my theater, at least. What about for you?
It was the complete opposite in my theater, child. I went to the Thursday night preview, I guess you can say, and they did fan screenings, like, you know how the studios do like these specific fan screenings where they just beef up the buzz. Yeah. I didn't go to the fan screening. I went to a regular theater, or regular auditorium. Actually, I saw it in Dolby, to be exact, because I was like, this deserves the music of Dolby. I was like, I need to hear that Dolce Runway song on the best speakers possible. Sure. But walking into the theater, it was packed for one. Like, I couldn't find parking, which is rare. Like, that only happened again with Michael when I took my grandma to see it. But I walked in and I forgot that Andy, the Andy character, had like a big transformation in the first film, and all the women in the lobby were basically dressed like her after her transformation. All the girls had their black and white houndstooth on with their red coats and their page boy hats, and they were like there in groups, like they were the girlfriend groups recording their TikToks and just really excited about the movie in a way that I was like, wow, this is fun. Like, people are having fun with this film in a way that I don't know why I wasn't expecting it. Like, it's like, you know how they orchestrated like the whole Barbie and Barbenheimer thing. That was happening with this movie, but there was no, I don't recall seeing like calls from the studio saying dress up for this movie like they do for so many other movies. So it was fun seeing that. And my auditorium was packed. Like, I was sitting hip to hip with my cousin who I took to see the movie. Shout out to her. It was her birthday, Tanya. And she'd never seen the first one. And she was all into this movie without understanding the references and like the Easter eggs that were being dropped for like those fans who like me who really enjoyed this. And people were picking up on all the humor in the movie. Like, you could hear people laughing. You could hear people reacting to just moments that clearly were written for reaction. So it was fun. Like, it was really great energy. And I was excited to see that because I think that's something that's missing a lot from movies. Like, people aren't able to get excited. And I think with this being a sequel, with it being nostalgic, it kind of like lends itself to helping that energy feel more natural. So it was fun for me. It was definitely fun for me.
I'm glad that it was fun for you. Okay, so let's pull back the wall. What are your questions? What are your ponderances? What are your, I know you have some hesitancies. You didn't just love it all the way through.
Yeah. So I think one of the first things y'all know that I was most curious about how they were going to handle the shift of the industry that they were existing within in the story. In 2006, magazines were really at their height. Like, this was a time where you were really like leaning into seeing who was on what cover, what were they wearing. And it was kind of like the source of pop culture in a sense, in a way that the industry has completely turned in 2026. And you, as a working journalist, I'm sure you have personal thoughts on this, but the way they opened the movie, I don't know if it's like trauma or just like knowing how things run when you're in a room full of journalists and like there's a sudden emergency that's hitting a specific group of people. You're like, oh, I know what's happening. And I knew exactly what was going to happen in that moment. And so she's at a journalism award ceremony of sorts, and you see the phones go off and they're just like, their tones were changing, and they didn't tell us what it was. We find out through kind of like dialogue and the acting what was happening. And essentially, their paper had been decimated and I guess sold to someone, and they decided to like close it until all of them were laid off. And I thought, oh, so we're really getting into this reality in a way that made me even more curious about how the story was going to unfold. Because I will admit, like, the first movie felt a bit more superficial and fantasy of what working in magazine was. It was very much so like, oh, putting on nice clothes, talking to famous people.
It was her first job, wasn't she? She was young. Yeah. I mean, that's the point. That was the point of the first movie. And now she's grown.
Yeah. So with that scene, with them opening up like that, with that layoff scene, did that feel authentic or real to you? Like, how did that immediate pivot from like prestige journalism to survival mode kind of set the stakes for our lead character, Andy, this time around?
I mean, it's gag worthy, right? And I think the gag worthy part was the fact that it was the way it was done, right? Via text message, whoop-de-whoop, right? I think... But it's what's happening. People are waking up days. People are getting awards one day and getting laid off the next. And so, it wasn't for me. I wasn't looking at it as like whether it felt authentic or not. And more so, it was just like I feel like we have seen the instance before in a film where somebody is receiving an award, they're at a high point in their career, and immediately, right, at the drop of a dime, whether it's them being served, whether it's them, waking up the next morning and the stock market has crashed or whatever. And so that setup, especially once I found out that the Andy character was a quote-unquote real journalist, that part actually felt expected to me. What came after, almost everything else that came after it is where I was like, oh, this feels like something new, something different, something, something intentional in terms of how you take a narrative. To your point, right, that 20 years ago it was about her, wanting to be in this rarefied space, being willing to sacrifice XYZ to be in this space. But now you 20 years in, now you see yourself as a quote unquote real journalist, right? And what does it mean to be getting this local press club award, right? And then to lose your job. Or for, because you're just not thinking of that. And so yeah, it felt authentic, it felt accurate, but it also felt like the proper kind of inciting incident, right? For this character in this world.
And it's pretty apparent that these writers have a certain point of view of journalists and how they characterize them. Like, we knew that her friend who was sitting right next to her, I can't remember the actor that plays this character, but the way he was costumed. Like they had him on with a baseball cap and pens and pencils in his shirt. I was like, oh, so he's a serious journalist. And just like how they characterize that. I mean, we get to see Andy more with like her journalism community in this movie than we saw in the first one, which I thought was interesting. Like that table talk they had about losing their jobs and her getting, the correspondence from Runway and just how that kind of all played out. I thought to me, it kind of like set the tone for me to understand that like, oh, this isn't just a sequel being done to revisit this world. Like this movie and this story is going to have like something to say about the state of something. And it made it feel more substantial. Like this felt like they were kind of like trying to approach this from a more genuine perspective on something that I appreciated. Like I was like, I didn't want a fluffy sequel. Like, cause that was my concern. I was like, we got all these sequels coming out, but they feel like they're just sequels trying to burn some money or make some money. So yeah, that was kind of how that landed on me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the what we know is that Meryl Streep in particular said no a number of times, right, over the years. And so I think, and because this is a movie that like, you can't do Devil Wears Prada 2 without Miranda. I mean, maybe you could, but the fact that world that the film is based off of, Anna Wintour is still at the top. Right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it would have required a different kind of diversion from the pseudo realistic rendering of this world that the first movie gave us, and the way it was billed as kind of like peeling the curtain back just a little bit of what it may be like to work for Anna Wintour. And so one of the things that I thought was interesting is this is still a movie with a whole lot of white people and a couple specks of black people.
Yeah.
Or brown people, specific. When I say black in this context, I mean any other color. You know what I mean? But there is the new assistant. Oh, let me find her name. I've seen her in a couple things.
Simone Ashley.
That's exactly her name. As soon as you said it, it popped up. Simone Ashley. But it really is. And so that was interesting to me. It just is interesting to me. Not to say it's not accurate, not to say it's not what it is. And obviously they tried, I think, in various ways to speak to how the industry is more diverse right now than it was 20 years ago, and in particular the Miranda Priestley's character's contention with that. But all of it did seem tasteful. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like they were trying to say a specific thing. It didn't feel like it was waving a kind of a flag. But this brings me to the particular story narrative around the character of Nigel, Stanley Tucci's character, right? In this film, there's like this B or C level narrative in which his character, one, has always had the power, the control, the influence, right? Both in the first movie and in this movie, though he wasn't necessarily in the front and given the credit. We see in this film where Miranda finally gives him the opportunity to step out front, and how he assumes that, but also how he played a role in bringing Andy back too. And so all I want to say is I think that's quite intentional, right? That the gay guy is the one who is really pulling the strings, or part of pulling the strings, right? Some might say that the character of Nigel could have been similar to a character such as an Andre Leon Talley. And if we are going to highlight the ways that the queer presence and queer, the queer essence that makes the fashion industry what it is, I thought it was a subtle nod to that, to have that character's arc, end in the way that it does. I wish it was a little bit bigger, stronger, but it felt appropriate for the ways that this kind of character operates in the kind of space that is the fashion industry.
Yeah.
Whether you are ALT or not.
That character specifically had a lot to say without it being said.
As always.
Because what I saw happening there was like they were presenting kind of like the prototype of a person who's able to, I guess, sustain in the industry without acquiring what would be the perception of success in that type of setting. Because essentially what we learn is that Nigel has continually been looked over by Miranda, because in the first film we see a moment that really seems to impact or affect that character when she gives a position that she promised him to
somebody else,
Jacqueline Foley or something like that, whatever the character's name was. And we kind of see, it was a crushing moment for him. And when we get back into this film, there's a moment where Andy's like, she comes to him and she's like, I can't believe you're still around her after that moment. And she's curious as to like how he got through that with her, because she's trying to find her in with Miranda in this film. And he basically shares with her, there have been many moments since then in the past 20 years, but I'm still here beside her. But then he corrects himself and says, well, I guess to the side of her. And then as, the plot plays out, which
is a negative for the record.
It's a negative. Yes, okay. It's definitely a negative. And it communicates to me that in order to sustain and to just stay in the industry, you just can't be a threat to the head and don't reveal your desires that can appear to pressure the person you're working with into like giving you that thing that you're really desiring. I thought that character was really interesting in that way, because it was just like, well, yeah, you can stay in the industry for 20 years, but what are you sacrificing?
It sounds like you're saying that's a good thing.
No, I'm just saying it's a thing. I'm just recognizing it as a thing that's been presented to us. Like,
okay.
Yes, he does still have a place in this space, like, and it's going back to your point about Andre Leon Talley, where it was like we continued to see him, but as we learned after he passed, he didn't have anything. He didn't have the life that I think we perceived him to have, but he was still in the space.
I thought that they did some really interesting things narratively with a number of the characters. Even the whole storyline of the billionaire takeover. Interesting possibility. Let's see. And so like that's where the movie fantasy, I feel like, comes in, or possibility comes in. But it was, I can see why Meryl Streep finally said yes to this. And by the way, Meryl continues to fall into not just this role after 20 years, but any role. Meryl Streep can play. I don't give too much to white women. Okay. I don't give too much to white women, but Meryl the Streep, I don't care what role it is. That woman knows how to disappear into a character.
I want to get into her character actually some. Coming from the first movie and us essentially meeting her as like this ice queen, this movie, the character's growth or evolution felt a bit different because she isn't just like protecting the magazine anymore. Now, like you mentioned, she's gunning for this quote global head of content role that honestly, remember when you asked me about how I felt about that Vogue cover with Meryl Streep as Miranda Priestly and Anna Wintour? A part of my response, my reaction was a bit off to that because seeing that kind of felt like a spoiler to the movie in a bit, because in the original movie, the fashion industry was not interested in contributing to the movie. Like it's documented that the first production had a hard time getting fashion houses to really, loan them clothes and like be visible in this film. But when I saw that cover with Anna and Meryl Streep, I was like, oh, this is going to be insider baseball in a sense. And so that made me nervous. And I was just like, the cover wasn't even that great to me. It just felt so uninspired in a way. But nevertheless, we see Miranda Priestly in this story in 2026.
Ray Love Jr. is a tough critic, y'all. He said uninspired. My God.
I'm a photographer, so like I keep a lot of visual things on my board. Not just like this is never something that would be on my board. Anyway, the real life kind of like thread that I saw was with Miranda. They were making sure we understood that she was aspiring to this global head of content role, which is actually the role that now Anna Wintour sits in. She's no longer the editor-in-chief of Vogue. But Anna Wintour is now like the chief of content across like all Condé Nast, I believe, or something like that. And so that was a through line that we saw with the character, or like, I guess, growth with the character, and seeing that she has new aspirations, and kind of like seeing how she navigated working under ownership. That was like a new wrinkle that we hadn't really been given a lens into from the first film. And so we see how she kind of contends with that while seemingly the magazine industry is completely falling around her in a way. And we see her having questions about her like internal compass and like, when is enough that I thought was interesting. But further into the movie, we find out that the billionaire character is looking to buy it, and she finds out. And there's this like tense moment that happens between her and Andy as they're looking at a painting of the Last Supper, beautiful visuals. But then there's a dinner that happens, I believe that evening or maybe the next day. And they get into a conversation about, she boldly goes up to the billionaire and just like kind of like presses him in her very Miranda Priestly way, where we see how she is, we see kind of like her strength and charm in conversation with kind of like navigating spaces with these folks. And they get into a conversation about maintaining the tradition of the magazine. And he is arguing about AI and like that logic and technology, and she is arguing about like maintaining or sustaining human creation and beauty against the billionaire's efficiency and AI logic, which I thought was such an interesting, it was a small thing that happened, but it was like speaking to the times again. And it was just like, what do we value in society? And so Tre'vell, in the original, Miranda was like the villain protege, and here she's almost like a guardian of human art, I would say, against the machines in a way. Did you find yourself rooting for her this time, or does she feel still like that same kind of monster, but in a better coat that she's hanging up on her own now?
I don't think, maybe this is a hot take, but I don't ever think Miranda was a monster. I don't think she was the villain. I think you choose in these worlds and in these spaces, you choose which game you want to play. Yeah. She chose the game she wanted to play, and she's the best at it. You know what I mean? And Andy wanted to play that game and had to rise to the occasion. And she did. And yet, when she did, she said, I think I'm actually good, actually right here. This is cute. I'm gonna go, do some investigative reporting. And so I thought that it was, so I didn't necessarily root for her, but I do think it was great to see how she was standing up. I wouldn't say for human art or against AI, but she was standing up for herself and what she's built. I think she already had the promotion. She was getting promoted the night that the homeboy died. I've already demonstrated what I can do. I think she was battling for herself and for her legacy. I think it just also happened to help, the folks around her. You know what I mean? And I don't think, because I never saw her as a villain, I think it kind of shifts how the character operates or is allowed to operate in the sequel, right? Because if you do look at her as a villain, then you might have a question of like, oh, what does it now feel like to be rooting for the lady who we all hated and despised and thought was a bitch? To me, what I see now, in part of this mirrors the Anna Wintour figure as a bit of iconography, is like, I was looking at some of the things Miranda was wearing in this film and be like, Miranda of 20 years ago would never wear that. That's ugly. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I thought, and I was like, oh, actually, yeah. This kind of character would be wearing some ugly shit, but because they're who they are, we ain't gonna say nothing. You know what I mean? And so I think there were layers to the performance that I think allowed, no matter however you come to the Miranda Priestley character, it allows you to see a shift and a change. Because we also got to see more human parts of the Miranda character this go around, to your point of her ambition, right? And her ability to get things done. I liked it.
I think I want to talk about the fashion because you brought that up in what Miranda was wearing.
Okay.
I was really curious how they would approach the world of fashion, considering it's kind of all over the place now. Like, I remember distinctly being able to identify kind of like an era or a period of time by looks and fashion in a way that's just like, in the past 20 years, there really isn't as well defined visual, I guess, cues for where we are in fashion. So I was curious as to how that would be represented on screen. And there were people laughing at what were supposed to be the high fashion moments in the movie when they were visiting like fashion houses, and we see the girl standing in like that really big oversized look, and then we see the girl posing in the office with like the florals and the big hat, and like people were giggling at that. I was like, damn, do people care about fashion anymore in the way they did back then? How did the looks land on you in this movie? Was there a look that stood out to you where it was like, ooh, that's ugly, or ooh, that's cute, or ooh, that's like fashionable?
No, I don't think, to be quite honest, I don't think I have been more enthralled by Meryl Streep's in particular fashion on the red carpet for the promo cycle than I was about any fashion in the movie explicitly. But maybe that's, I know, I don't want to say I know fashion, but I watch every kind of fashion competition show. So I have seen a lot. And I also watch a Drag Race, which is very referential, right? Of legitimate fashion, things. And so I feel like I have seen a lot. You know what I mean? And so and also my audience didn't respond that way. Maybe that's because I'm in LA and that I guess maybe more likely to have seen some of these absurd shapes that are deemed as, couture or high fashion.
That was same for me. I'm not a fashion girly. Like, I know the basics. I know the Project Runway stuff. But this movie didn't really have like that moment that you can like pull and say, this is what we're going to wear next year's or the next movie's sequel or whatever, in the way that we saw in the first movie. Andy had that makeover moment where she's in the high Chanel boots, and we see that moment where, was that Giselle who was playing that character, where she was like, are those the Chanel boots? So they were like really iconic looks from that first film that didn't exist in this one. There's also a moment from the first film that I was hoping would be in this second film that we didn't get an exact replica for. So you remember the scene where she's like walking and we see her switching into these different fashion looks as she's walking down the street, across the street in the first film. I was like looking for that, and we didn't get exactly that in this film. But when I tell you, we did get a moment in this movie that had me so giddy, Tre'vell, because when I realized it was happening, I like squealed like a little girl. We see the foursome as they're in Italy at Milan Fashion Week. And they're walking, and as they're walking, we see their different looks. Like there's no dialogue. It's literally just a montage of them walking and them changing looks. Yes. And I was just like, oh my God, we're getting that moment. And when I tell you, it was such a great thing to see with the foursome of them, because we get to see Miranda, Andy, the assistant. I think her name was Amir or Miri or something. And Nigel. Like Nigel in that scene. So we get so many more looks in that moment. And oh my God, the assistant, she is like, that girl has a look. Like, she can really hold clothes, and her face is, to me, such a stunning face. And seeing her a part of that foursome was just such like a big moment for me. Like, I loved it. So I'm guessing that moment didn't land on you because you ain't even know what I was talking about. I know what you talk about. It didn't land on me the way it landed on you. I think the reality is you have a softer spot for the original, and a more salient kind of connection to the original in a way that I don't. I like it, but I'm not, it wasn't defining for me in any major way. And so I saw all of those moments, even in the at the beginning of the movie. She's walking through the park in the cerulean belt. The cerulean color such a small moment
in the back. Small things like that. But I agree with you that the assistant, baby, she was eating up all of them in some of them shots. No shade. There's a shot where she's got, I think she's wearing all black, and then she has is it blue gloves? Or something, it's like blue gloves or something. Or maybe it's a blue purse, something like that. Anyway, okay. Any other thoughts that you have on Devil Wears Prada, Dose, that you need to get off your chest?
I mentioned the music. The moment we transition into the Runway offices from when Andy's essentially going to have her first day back there, the music to me felt so much like a spy movie. And I was like, why does this score feel like a spy movie? And I realized that is kind of a theme of the movie. There's a bit of espionage happening in this film. And I thought the way they used the music to like really score those moments, that we saw like the visual of them driving to do that editorial cover interview. And that felt like a very spy moment. And then essentially we see things play out. And I thought that was such an interesting thing that brought character to the movie in a way that I don't know if other people will pick up on it, but it was something I definitely wanted to call out because it stuck to me. It really stuck to me in a way. Did that hit on you at all?
I don't think I identified it as like a spy element, but I can see how you got there.
Yes, well, thank you for appeasing me.
I can see how you got there.
I'm really curious about how just like the representation or how they characterize journalism in this movie landed for you, because all of it, honestly, it felt like a fantasy to me. Like, it doesn't seem like something that can happen in real life where you find a billionaire to buy your company and able to like continue the work you're doing the way that they did it, where it was like, oh, we have this billionaire in our pocket and we can save the entire industry and save all these jobs. It was like, that felt like such a fantasy. It was like, yes, we would love that. But like, is this real life? Could this be real life? How did that feel on you?
I think you put too much on it. I don't think I don't think that their goal was to save jobs. Everybody else's jobs.
They were saving their jobs.
Specifically. Yeah. And it just happened.
And that's why it felt like a fantasy. They saved their job.
Right. Yeah. Yes. But I guess, I think it's important to realize that like what's special also about this movie is that the fashion journalism, if that's what we're going to describe this world as, luxury fashion and the extensions thereof as it relates to media, it is a rarefied world, right? Like Anna Wintour and her features editor or her top editor, they are going to Kim Kardashian's home. They are going to, I guess I should go bigger. They are going to Lauren Powell Jobs' home. Right. But it's more like, for the character type, they're more likely going to Lauren Powell Jobs than Bezos. The Emily Blunt character, her husband is Bezos. You know what I mean? Because y'all know what's going on at the Washington Post, and if you don't know, democracy dies in the dark.
Even the Met Gala, they're sponsoring the Met Gala.
Even the Met Gala. This is my point in response to your note. The world of Vogue, especially as a fashion magazine, it's a lot more possible there than it is where I'm sitting. You know what I mean? And where we're sitting. But it is possible, right? Deeply improbable, but it is possible in that world, right? Where you are interacting with these people of immense, wild, crazy wealth and influence, wealth and influence. But what I hesitate on, and I think maybe this is a little bit of what you're saying as well in terms of how of the fantasy element of that, is what we know in reality is that the billionaires actually come in and they don't end up being good for the publications. We've seen that at the Post with Bezos. No shade. We've seen that with the LA Times and Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong. Okay, because many of those folks, they're not interested in preserving journalism. They're interested in making sure they get a return on their investment, a financial return on their investment. Okay, so first and foremost, our verdict on Devil Wears Prada 2. I think we are both probably on the same page here, but let's start with you. Seated, skip it, or stream it?
Honestly, we can probably say it at the same time because it's apparent that we may have the same thoughts. So on the count of three, we can say it. 3, 2, 1.
Seated. Okay.
Yes. Go see this movie. Like, even if you haven't seen the first one, you don't revere the first one as much as I do. I think it is a fun time at the movies. You'll find something to connect to. It's an easy watch. If they tell you it's a rom-com, it's not a rom-com. The little bit of romance in there ain't really giving that. But, go see the movie. I enjoyed it. Check it out.
Oh, it's definitely not a rom-com. I think, yeah. Anyway, okay, let's get to what the critics are saying. The tomato meter over on Rotten Tomatoes. This is the critics. Critics are saying 78%.
Okay, I think it's good.
And I mean, it's all right. It's not high, but it's also not low.
It ain't what Michael was.
Well, because Michael was, listen. Okay.
That hole was low.
And then the popcorn meter, so this is the audience, is higher. It's at 86%. And I feel like that's closer to what I expected for regular people.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that even the critics were as high as they were. I wouldn't think that the critics would enjoy. I don't know. I feel like
you just don't. You think the critics is just super stuffy.
I feel like it's fluffier for a critic audience, but I love that they were able to enjoy this movie
critics
as much as I did.
We love a fluffy movie.
I mean, when y'all want to.
I think that's the beauty of criticism is you're supposed to come to a movie with what it is intending to be. And this is a movie that actually is super fluffy, but it has a little heft to it. Which brings me to our Black Critic Spotlight. Sarah Vincent of Sarah G. Vincent Views says, The Devil Wears Prada 2 is the rare perfect sequel that deviates from the source material and finds some optimism without pulling punches about how things have changed for the worse 20 years later.
Bold thoughts. Okay.
You say that like you disagree.
So, I mean, I don't disagree, but would you say, do you think this movie's better than the original? Because she called this a perfect sequel.
I don't know that a perfect sequel means that it's better than the original.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, I don't know if it's better. I haven't seen the first one in forever, like I mentioned. But I agree that it's a great sequel.
Yeah, and it's I went back to look at what the first Devil Wears Prada, what the reception was on that. And the first movie's tomato meter was a 75%. The popcorn meter was a 76%. So it feels like if we were to go by the critics and the audience, the second one is panning out to be a better sequel, a better film. So, yeah. You've heard our thoughts on The Devil Wears Prada 2. The critics have chimed in. The audience is chiming in. We want to hear from you. So hit us up at holla@seatedshow.com with your thoughts on The Devil Wears Prada 2. And check us out over at seatedshow.com/join, where the Seated Movie Club shares their personal opinions on things. And Tre'vell, I'm ready to get into our next segment, which you know is going to be the Black Cinema Games.
Let's do it. Let's take a little break, and we'll be right back.
Back again, and now it's time for my favorite segment this week and every week. It's the Black Cinema Games.
Pew pew. Pew pew.
Oh,
because I'm not sure what kind of, because we have very limited Black representation in this film, and so I don't know what that means for this game. And so I'm a little, less than jazzed. But let's see what you have cooked up.
I mean, we talk about a lot of movies that ain't got a damn Black person in it. It just requires me to get a bit more creative in how I set these games up for you.
I know.
So,
this
week, I decided to focus on the fashion and aesthetic of this film, and we're calling this the Cerulean Games. And so what I'm going to do is give you films that are iconic for their look, and I'm going to give you 3 fashion staples or visual cues from the movies for you to guess the film based on those different clues.
Okay, this is interesting. I see you getting creative. Okay,
Yes. All right, so are you ready for the Cerulean Games for Black Cinema Games, Tre'vell?
Let's dive into the Cerulean Games, okay?
All right. First round, I'm going to call this the Street Chic Poet. All right, the aesthetic. A black newsboy cap, a thick white headband over floor-length box braids, high-waisted denim, and gold hoops that could catch the light of a desert sunset. The vibe. This 1993 film defined 90s realism. It was directed by John Singleton, and it turned a road trip in a mail truck into a masterclass in Oakland to LA street style. It proved that a simple white crop top and combat boots could be as iconic as a ball gown. Can you guess the movie?
Poetic Justice.
Come on. Yes, you got it. Poetic Justice, starring the one and only Janet Jackson and, our dearly departed Tupac. You don't sound...
No.
You don't sound into this at all.
No. I'm seeing where the Cerulean is coming in. I see. Yes. I'm following.
Yeah, okay. So now as you're settling in, you already got a point on the board, so you should feel,
Well, let's see. Let's go to number 2.
All right, round 2, I'm calling the Beverly Hills Royalty.
Okay.
All right, the aesthetic is elaborate Dr. Seuss style top hats, safety pin accessories, neon plaid power suits, and a leopard print collar jacket that redefined prep school couture. The vibe. While the film's lead is famous for her yellow plaid, her best friend Dionne Davenport was the true fashion vanguard. This 1995 classic turned high school hallways into runways and gave us the as-if attitude that Miranda Priestley would actually respect. Can you guess the movie?
I guess it's Cerulean Games, not Black Cinema Games. But
what you mean?
Okay, well let's follow up. Okay, so we talking about Clueless.
Hey, Cher.
Dionne and I were both named after great singers of the past who now do infomercials.
So, shopping with Dr. Seuss? Well, at least I wouldn't skin a collie to make my backpack.
The movie is Clueless, and the star that I was calling out, Dionne Davenport, is played by Stacey Dash as Dionne.
Yes, but
that's the black cinema of this game.
Oh, that specifically is the black cinema. Okay. Yes. Okay. I just was like, oh, maybe Clueless is directed by a black man. I didn't know that.
I had to get creative here. We're trying to keep things interesting.
I see. Very, very creative. Okay, I'll take that for me. That's 2 out of 2.
Well, you got 2 points, yes. All right, well, we're returning to, I guess, what would be deemed a black movie for the third round. And we're calling this the Success is Nothing Without round.
Success is nothing without. Okay.
The aesthetic, a silk jersey wrap dress, dramatic floor-length capes, hand-beaded kabuki-inspired gowns, and a transition from Chicago secretary chic to Roman high-fashion goddess. The vibe, this is the ultimate fashion industry movie. It follows a woman's rise from the south side of Chicago to the runways of Rome as a world-famous model and designer. Most impressively, the lead actress actually designed the film's entire high-fashion wardrobe herself. Can you guess the movie?
Hell no.
Now you could guess this movie, Tre'vell.
I don't think so. Okay, hold on. Can you repeat the aesthetic?
The aesthetic is silk jersey wrap dresses, dramatic floor-length capes, hand-beaded kabuki-inspired gowns, and a transition from Chicago secretary chic to Roman high-fashion goddess. The movie stars Diana Ross.
Mahogany.
Yes, it's Mahogany. Ooh, had to walk you up to that one.
Girl,
I just knew you was gonna know that one, Tre'vell.
Listen, the Chicago to Roman goddess thing is what messed me up. I was Roman god, what? But I get it.
All right, you got 3 on the board. You're 3 for 3 right now.
I get it. I appreciate your help on that one because
of course
you leaned in.
I want to make this 4 for 4 because I believe you got it in you.
Oh wow, okay, love that for me. Let's
go. Our last round is going to be called The Camp and Couture, and I know you know this movie, Tre'vell. So are you ready?
Sure.
The aesthetic, sculptural gravity-defying hair structures, gold tooth grins, bright orange vinyl suits, and a head-to-toe rich girl transformation that involves the literal palace in Beverly Hills. The vibe, it's a 1997 cult classic that took tacky and turned it into high fashion camp. Mm-hmm. It features 2 black women from Georgia who define what it means to be a black American princess. What is the movie, Tre'vell?
Well, you just spoiled it right there. If you know, you know. Because that was going to be my answer. Okay, was black American princesses. Okay, yes. Also known as BAPs. Okay.
Booyah! Yes!
Booyah!
All right, well, we got 4 for 4, Tre'vell. She's a winner, baby. This movie was directed by Robert Townsend, starring Halle Berry and our dearly departed Natalie Desselle Reid. So yeah, that's going to be our Black Cinema Games this week. I figured this would be a fun one.
This was fun. Now, can I just say for the people that I thought you were going to go with a Tracy Toms themed because she's the only black person in the movie, and so I studied. I looked at her because Tracy been everywhere. Tracy been a lot of places. I don't want to say in the background, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean?
She been around.
Legend, right? And so I was like, I need to look at her filmography because he gonna try to play me because she has been in so much. But
that would have been too easy, Tre'vell. That would have been too easy. Yes, it was only one black girl in the movie.
Yeah, but you don't know what she been in. I promise you don't know what she been in.
Something told me you was gonna put on your thinking cap and try to do some studying, and I didn't want you to be that dialed in.
You see, not you to Miranda Priestley to my Nigel.
But what's your favorite Tracy Toms movie?
You're trying to keep me back. What'd you say?
What's your favorite Tracy Toms movie? Since you done did your homework and you know everything.
Movie? Oh, this is such a great question. I don't know if I particularly. This is.
Her role.
Her role? Well, okay, then I have to go back to the OG Rent.
You're one lucky baby. Take me for what I am. Who I was meant to be.
Snob yet over attentive.
And if you give a day,
a lovable drug.
take me, baby.
And ain't over attentive.
Okay?
Yes. Okay. We're on the same page because for one, she's singing down, and also she's playing a lesbian character. I was like, this is representation on screen. I need to see this. Yeah.
If I have to choose one, it has to be that. But she was in Annie. She was in something else.
Yeah, and in Rent, she played Joanne Jefferson, who was a lawyer, I believe.
Yes. They seen Rent. Down. They know Rent. They know Rent. They know. They know Rent. Okay.
Well, that's gonna do it for Black Cinema Games this week. Now, Tre'vell, lead us on down the road to our next segment.
Yes, we're gonna get into that Good Vibes Only segment. This is our segment we give you all recommendations to keep your vibes right. I will kick us off. Okay. And my suggestion is a new show on the Netflix called Funny AF.
Funny AF is the search for the next great stand-up comedian.
We have an opportunity to discover who the next person could be.
This is a comedy competition show, very Last Comic Standing-esque, hosted by Kevin Hart, hosted and produced by Kevin Hart, and the judges include Keegan Michael Key. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And Kumail Nanjiani and Chelsea Handler. And it's cute. It's fun. I love me a competition show, as y'all know, and I love me some good comedy. And so it's a cute little setup that they're doing. And I think the first 4 episodes are out now. And then by the time you all are hearing this, they're moving into a live phase of the Netflix doing all those live programming now. So there's moving to a live phase of the competition. But I really enjoyed it, and it's some really interesting, progressive, inclusive, really funny comedy happening over there. So if you're looking for something to watch, check out Funny AF over on the Netflix.
That's interesting. I had not heard of this, but it definitely sounds like something that it seems inventive for its space, I would say. It's very, did you watch Rhythm and Flow on Netflix? Is that the rap competition?
Yes, it is.
I think I did watch some of it.
It's very similar to Rhythm and Flow in structure. And so the first 4 episodes are like auditions. And then the first like challenge of the people who make it past auditions, they have to do a roast. And then those are the only episodes that I've seen thus far. So check it out if you are looking for something. What do you have so we can get up out of here?
I like that recommendation. I actually might go find somebody Netflix login to check that out myself. Or you want to send me your login? I can tap into that.
I don't say nothing like that on the camera. You're not about to implicate me. You right. Agent. What's going on now?
Anyway, my recommendation this week. So I don't fancy myself to be a really nostalgic person, but something about this movie activated the nostalgia in me for the early 2000s in a way. And so for me, my recommendation is going to be Ugly Betty.
Hi, you the before? Huh? Before and after? The photo shoot? Are you delivering something?
Oh, no. I work here. For the new editor-in-chief.
It's one of my favorite TV shows ever, people. So if you want to get a bit more of that like fashion world, early 2000s energy, I would definitely recommend tapping into Ugly Betty. And while Miranda Priestley destroyed things with a whisper, we had Wilhelmina Slater, who now actually plays Miranda Priestley in the West End, who's decimating everything with her gold sequin eyebrow arch. And honestly, if they were to really want to capitalize on this moment, I would say if we're given 2006 vibes, the only thing that would really make this moment really feel like that is if they announce an Ugly Betty revival over at ABC. I mean, it's the same parent company. It's all Disney, 20th Century Fox. Like, come on, give it to us. Give the people what they want. But in the meantime,
let it go.
Y'all can find Ugly Betty over on Hulu if you want more of this fashion camp energy. So yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Ugly Betty though, but we don't need a reboot. Leave it alone. Thank you so much.
I said revival, not reboot.
We don't
There's
need a revival
difference.
either. Find something else. You want a new? We got so many other stories. Somebody's got a story out there about somebody trying to get a job at a black-owned newspaper or something. Let's go over there.
Yeah. Bring back Riches on Amazon. I love that show. But
Who?
Nevertheless, Riches on Amazon Prime.
Flair and glory is the culmination of everything I have worked for. It's time to entrust it to the safekeeping of the next generation. I leave all my shares to Nina and Simon.
What?
You bitch!
Say it again.
It was a show about
sounds
an African family. It was black. I mean, is everything? Child, that sounded derogatory. Ooh, that sounded derogatory.
I said what I said. I said what I said. It sounds like something that they would have put in the urban category.
It's a story about an African family who owns like a beauty company, like Fenty.
I think I've seen this actually.
Love that show.
Speaking of urban, okay.
They only
right
had one season,
alley.
but they need more. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week's episode. I've had fun talking about The Devil Wears Prada 2 with you, Tre'vell. I would love to hear what the people at home got to say. So email us at holla@seatedshow.com and join our Seated Movie Club at seatedshow.com/join. What you got to tell the people and close us out, Tre'vell?
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you all next time.
Holla. If you enjoyed this episode, share with a friend. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like and tap that subscribe button. And if you're listening, give us a 5-star rating and review us in your podcast app or wherever you're tapping in today. It'll really help folks find us as we grow. Seated is an independently funded production, and your support can help us go further. Consider becoming a card-carrying member of the Seated Movie Club at seatedshow.com/join, where we'll bring you more of this popcorn-worthy content, special events, and more. And how do we do all that we do? Well, you know it's not by ourselves. Our theme music was created by Buckroll and animation by Ashung Adi, with creative consulting by Jade Fox and publicity support by House of Heralds. This week's episode was edited by me, Ray Love Jr. Seated is a co-production of Slay Jean and 5011 Media. It's hosted and produced by Tre'vell Anderson and Ray Love Jr. and filmed on location at the Walk Good Yard. See you at the movies. Holla!
When I hop on and I want to play spades, I just want to play spades. I don't actually want to talk to people, particularly on the computer. I just want to play. But I would like to play with real people. This is why me and one of my my homies, we have subscriptions to this online gaming thingamajiggy that allows us to play spades and a host of other games. But I only play spades. I don't know what she do with other real human beings across the world.
On mute.
Well, there's not. Well, it's
not even an option to talk. Yeah.
It's not even an option. There's a chat. There's a table chat. So you can chat with the people, but I don't do none of that. I don't do none of that. I don't do none of that. I don't do none of that.
So you were one of the kids who probably played solitaire on the computer back in the day.
I love me a solitaire.
That makes sense. Now it
on
makes
the computer back in the day. Hell, I love me a solitaire on the computer today. Okay,
that
no
makes sense.
shade.
I need to.
No, first of all, what you tried to read me? You tried to read me?
I'm trying to understand your psychology around not wanting to talk to people playing spades.
I'm saying on the computer.
I get it. No need to explain. I was somebody who didn't like Clubhouse.
This is y'all problem now. Y'all keep trying to collapse everything into an online experience. Okay, I don't need to replicate being on a table on the computer.
I get it.
Y'all doing too much. Get out your house and touch grass.